And hi, everybody. I'm Rick Snider from Rick Snider's Washington. Thanks for coming. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, even hit the thanks button on our live chat for the next hour on the Washington Commanders and all things Washington. Ask what you like. This is my last one until free agency starts about a month from now. So uh, enjoy the last word. We've done about 25 of these since July, and I need a break. Super Bowl's over. Let's all go live some of our lives somewhere else. Man, what happened to my hair? I could say that every day, and hi, Steve. You're there, ready to go. Steve, do you actually live in the Washington area? Anyway, for those of you watching on replay too, a lot of people do. We're going to talk about anything you want to talk about, but they say, "Oh, Durham, North Carolina. Okay, you're one of the Bulls." All right, just curious. If you were up here this week, okay. So people always ask me, "What do you do in the off season?" Like I'm off for a few months, but there's always something going on. This week, I saw the videos twice a day. Plus, I write for 106.7 The Fan, among others. So, this week it's going to be something to do with the offensive coordinator. We'll probably talk about the team sale this week going on, and these things won't just be in a vacuum one time. They'll be ongoing, especially the team sale. So, there's always stuff going on with this team. You might get a few quiet days in a row, and that's about it. So I'm always around. Eric Bieniemy, they're trying to schedule a talk with him. I don't know if Bieniemy comes. I have some thoughts on that. Greg Roman from Baltimore is also being now considered reportedly by several outlets. So, it kind of makes you think they haven't seen who they really want yet. I don't know. On Bieniemy, I wonder, here's the thing. Did the price just go up on him? He can always probably stay at Kansas City, but does the price go up for him since they've won the Super Bowl? And the problem with that was, let me see here, is Dan Snyder doesn't want to spend any money, on the way out the door. Although the deal would be left for whoever comes in afterwards. But I just, they could get outbid on this. He doesn't have cash in hand like that at the moment. So I don't know if this happens. Maybe Bieniemy wants to stay in Kansas City in a way because, hey, being part of the Super Bowl team is a rare thing. And maybe you want to keep on going. They can. Mahomes is still young. Andy Reid's still young. I say that being younger than him. So I don't know that Bieniemy is coming to Washington anyway. I never really thought he was, but I leave it open. You never know what people are going to do. I don't know him personally. So that'd be interesting. We can talk some Super Bowl tonight if you like. Some of you guys are just coming in now. Super Bowl, what a great game. Mahomes made me look like an idiot. He's not the first guy. Won't be the last. I just didn't think his leg would hold up, and I thought the Eagles' pass rush would be there. What happened to the Eagles' pass rush? 0 sacks is why they lost this game. You saw Mahomes, twist his ankle. He's in big-time pain. I guess they, numbed him at halftime or something, but impressive what he did to come out again. That's 3 straight games he's played with that high ankle sprain and done so well. I thought at halftime the Eagles had this game, and they're up by 10. They really would have been up by 17 if Hurts hadn't, fumbled away a touchdown. But, man, the Chiefs figured it out. See, that's Andy Reid. That's the problem I have with Rivera and his staff in Washington. You don't see dramatic second-half turnarounds for them. Andy Reid figured out what was wrong and got them back in gear, and they won, a great game. So much for the conspiracy theorists that said that the game was scripted and Philly would win with a field goal at the end. Where do you people get this crazy stuff from? There's no such thing as this. I don't understand. I guess we believe nothing anymore. It's amazing. So, the best team won. I just thought Mahomes wouldn't be good enough in this game because of his leg, but he showed why he's an MVP. Yeah, it was impressive. I was pretty happy with that. Best commercial, I think it was a local one here in Washington. Right before halftime, they had the Chinese balloon going, and it said, if you can't, we can, Michael and Sons, which is a big plumbing company and all, and they popped the balloon. It was pretty funny. I thought that was really good on there. All right, Timothy Park says, "Rest in peace, Ted Lerner." That's right. Ted passed away, age of 97. So it was a good life for Ted. People, Ted basically he bought the team about a year and a half after they came to Washington. So he didn't bring them to Washington like some people say, but he outlasted seven other guys. I mean, he was the toughest man in the room his whole life. One of the things about Ted Lerner I looked up today, he was a builder too. He's a big real estate developer. He actually built 22,000 homes in the Washington area and 7,000 apartments. So 29,000 housing units, which means maybe 100,000 people today live in something Ted Lerner built. Plus the Navy Yard stuff that happened, plus several big malls that were in the area at different times. Man, this guy definitely did it. Grew up as a young lad in Washington, went to Roosevelt High School, graduated George Washington Law. He actually was a senator's usher way back. And he actually went to the 1937 All-Star game in Washington. Man, that's, that's history in the making. So I didn't know him personally. Sometimes I thought maybe he was a little too tight with the buck. But, the Nats won a World Series, and it was a good run until recently. And I think overall Ted Lerner was a good owner in Washington. I really, when history writes it, I think it'll be on the plus side overall. I mean, everybody does stuff people don't like. Believe it or not, so do I. But I think overall it was okay. So, they're going to sell the team. When? Who knows? It doesn't seem to be rolling along very well. Speaking of selling teams, what about Washington Commanders? A lot of reports going on. Josh Harris, who I think is the leader at this point, but even there are other outlets who agree with me now that there's a mystery bidder. I've been saying that for the last couple of weeks. I couldn't see who it was, but I could just feel there was someone else out there. And no one knows who it is yet. It'd be interesting who it is. Is it really Bezos, maybe? I'm not sure. Bezos hasn't got a bid in yet. There's a lot of talk about the team's number will be closer to $6 billion now. That things are depressed a little bit in the price. And, you still got that stadium to build for another $2-3 billion. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there. He's still going to get a record number for this price. I think we'll find out something next week or two. We'll start hearing who's fallen out of the race, and then we'll start hearing who's in the race. So I think it's going to be interesting. Bezos is an owner. Well, he's been very good at buying things, delegating, letting people run them, and do well. And I think he said he's worth $123 billion now. So the man maybe hires good football people, and they run it, just like, say, Jack and Cook on there. There's a feeling out there that Jack and Cook hired Bobby Beathard. That's not true. He was in place when Cook was a minority owner, but he didn't hire Beathard. Edward Bennett Williams hired him. Now, Cook was around when they hired Joe Gibbs. And the funny story, I don't know if I've told this one before or not, but Bobby Beathard, hired Gibbs. And Jack and Cook said, "Who the hell is Joe Gibbs?" He was an offensive coordinator. Cook didn't know who he was. Bobby said, "Trust me." At 0-3, Cook calls Bobby Beathard in and threatens to fire him over this. He says, "You lose again, I'm firing both of you." Well, they lost again the next week, and they hid from Cook, and then they lost again the next week and hid from Cook. But they finished 8-8 that season, and everybody knows the rest of the story. And Cook always took credit for hiring Joe Gibbs. Bobby would just kind of laugh about it overall. Rest in peace for Bobby, too, recently. You haven't been around. Bob Baker's here. Hey, Bob. I'm glad to see you're in. Last week, I decided to do a Thursday afternoon chat. Some of you were there. But I thought I'd try and do it for the European group that I have about 600 people follow me on Twitter from Europe. And a bunch of them said they were coming. And I got one guy who showed up, but a lot of Americans did too. We had a great afternoon. So I'll probably try that occasionally this fall. My schedule is basically take a breath next few weeks, unless something big happens, like a sale, and I'll come back on. And then we'll We'll do some around free agency. I'll do a show or two. We'll do something around the draft, that kind of stuff, and the camps. So kind of gonna be a hit and miss. I'll try and do them on Mondays, but I'll put out the note about them. And then by next training camp, it comes quicker than we think. It's only 6 months away, and then we'll start. We did I think 25. I missed 1 week because I was sick, so that wasn't bad overall. So if you didn't contribute all season. And you want to hit the thanks button to make up for it and say, thanks for the whole season, Rick. Go ahead and hit the thanks button, even if it's $2 and you saw 25 shows. Can't beat that. I appreciate it on there. All right, fire away with questions. Let's see. Man, everybody's kind of quiet today. I know, it's the end of the season. I tell you what, I had to get up at 6 this morning to go to work, do some tour guiding today. And I thought, man, I could use that national holiday people have been talking about. Should they put the Super Bowl on for Saturday instead of a Sunday? Nah, I like it on Sundays. Could they do it for like George Washington's weekend or something, maybe a week? That, or, President's Day is about Lincoln and Washington. They could go a week earlier and honor Washington more than Lincoln that way. You used to have both of them off years ago, but we need to do something. All right, Santiago says, do you think Ron will be here for next season? Jeez, Bell says no. I got my bell back. My grandson ran off with it yesterday. He's only 2. He likes to play it. And it drives his mother crazy, which is really funny. Ding, ding. I leave it out there for him to annoy my daughter. So, no, I don't think Ron will be here next season, but I would not say with 100% certainty over that. He can always talk to the new owner. Maybe it makes sense to them, and maybe they keep him. And maybe they do well this season, so he stays. But I would say the odds are no more than yes. Have I heard any of the players complaining yet? Asked Michael. No, they've been quiet. I mean, everybody left a couple weeks ago, so you haven't really heard anything on there. I hear a lot of I hear a lot of talk in the wind about players don't like Eric Bieniemy, but I don't know. Players don't have to like you. It's a nice thing, but you don't have to. Anybody that's a boss knows you're not always going to be loved. But, believe it or not everybody loves me. I mean, I don't understand that, but okay. You just live with it, and that's something your parents tell you your whole life. Not everybody's going to like you. Don't worry about it. So if players whine, go play ball. This new world is, people have a lot more power in the new world than they did when I was young. You just did it. You didn't say no to people, but now it seems like you can. So, all right. Beautiful day in Washington, too. Spring's coming early this year. So if you want to come to Washington for cherry blossoms, I have no idea when they're going to happen because it really is dependent upon March weather. But given the way things have gone all winter, we haven't really even had snow. We had like a dusting. That's not snow. I would think they'd come early. So if you want to come to Washington in the spring and you're thinking about it, I would think third week of March might be it. But there's no way of knowing for sure. Is it Ibad Shaman? I'm not sure. Do I think Dan might not sell a team even if he doesn't get to $7 billion? He's selling the team. That's done. Whether he wants to or not, he's selling the team. So if for some reason he didn't, fan base would just be gone completely, and the NFL would force him out. Michael, should we take the Super Bowl as a sign that we need to score a lot more points at the expense of defense? Boy, I sure would. That seems how it works anymore, huh? But Washington's got a good defense, but they need the offense. You got to outscore people in today's NFL. It's been that way for years. Santiago, what do you think the NFC East will look like next year? Washington will be in first place. Now, I don't know. Philly got a few one-year deals in some of the new players they picked up, so they'll have to reform a little bit. But as long as Hurts is playing as well as he has, they'll be fine. Dallas is always Dallas. They're, a 10-win team, and then they don't show up in January. New York, I think New York played better than they would normally. So I don't know that New York gets any better. And I think Washington, well, we'll see what happens in the next month. Alex is throwing a party when Dan sells. Okay. Let me know where it is. Matter of fact, I got something for your party. Hold on. What's it? There it is. All right. I found this one in a box I was doing. In case you guys have never seen it, Big Jack beer. And it wasn't bad. I used to drink it. We used to drink it up at training camp. It was like 50 cents for a draft back in the 90s. And this company was in Frederick, and they made it for a long time. And then they stopped, and I said, hey, I want to buy the labels. Sell me the labels you have left. And they were afraid to. They were afraid Cook would be mad for some reason, and they wouldn't sell me the labels. Not even talking to beer, just the labels. It was weird. So I still have one. I haven't opened it. God knows what it tastes like if I did. But I don't know. You can see it. It just kind of was cool. That's Cook's fedora on there. Trademark. A friend of mine has that fedora in his collection. Let's see. Alex says, I'm in high school. That's not going to work. Ooh, okay. Wow, somebody your age is watching me? Man, that's unusual because my analytics say nobody under 25 watches me. And it's like 98% men. Alexander, how's the pizza in McLean? Actually, we're going Wednesday. I said Thursday to somebody the other day, but Wednesday, I'm going to go to Rocco's with a couple of friends. We're going to do a short show there, but the pizza looks pretty awesome. And I'm looking for, you'll see the show later this week, I guess. Robert, Deron Payne's trade value of Tag. Can you afford to rebuild the line if he is re-signed? Okay, so trade value of Tagged as a franchise player would be 2 1s. I don't know who's going to give it to you, or you can trade him for less if you want, but that's the league thing is 2 1s. If you're willing to drop your price a little, then maybe. Can they afford to rebuild the line if he's re-signed? Well, then you're talking Chase and Montez. Who would you rather have? I don't think you keep both. You might keep one. You might not keep any either. Do more women watch when I lose my shirt? Asked Steve. When I did my shirt, I lost my shirt on beating the bookies every week. Some weeks I had bad weeks. I didn't wear my shirt. And you'd only see about this much of me without a shirt. If you start going here, you see my open heart scars and all. You don't want to see that. I got 6 times more views, Steve. I don't know how to explain that. Scares me a little bit, but it was funny. All right. Who I think has the best chance of buying a team, Reginald asked. Well, Bezos always has the money, but outside of that, I think Josh Harris is really the guy now. Like I said a few minutes ago, I know people cycle through the show for like 10 minutes, so they don't always hear anything. And then if you miss something, you can watch on replay. It'll be when the show ends, it'll go back into the cycle on YouTube. But I have a feeling there's somebody out there. I don't know who it is. I can just feel it. As a reporter of 45 years, I can feel when you can't see something. One of the great things about being a reporter, you have to learn how to look around corners. You have to be able to look beyond what you can see, and I can feel it. I just can't tell who it is yet, but we'll find out eventually. But right now, Josh Harris, I think, is the one. And I think he would be a decent owner, and I think he could still get the RFK site because Harris is known for real estate development too, and that's what they need at the RFK site. That's what they were required to get it, if it's possible. So I think I don't think he'd be a bad choice. Let's see. No one's given up 2 1s for DT in this league, says Michael. Well, you're correct on that, but years ago they did. Carolina gave 2 1s up for Sean Gilbert. I remember Sean Gilbert held out a year for Washington. I think it was around 98. And I talked to his agent, and he said God told Sean a certain number to sign for. God. I was so surprised I made him repeat it. And then Sean held out the year, and then Carolina gave up 2 1s. And he had a decent career there, but it wasn't worth 2 1s. Joel thinks it has to be Bezos. I think if he may be the guy to buy it. Now, if we're talking about the mystery candidate, I don't think it's him. And no, Michael, it's not Kevin Durant. I think I'm convinced now Kevin Durant's going to play his last season in the NBA in Washington, however many years in the future that is. I have this feeling he'll be here for the final tour of his career. We won't get the great Durant. We'll get the one going out the door. Share 606 says Dan doesn't want to sell a team. There's a lot of contingencies with this too, with the sale. Does it involve all the property? Is Dan just willing to sell the team, or is he willing to sell, the stadium, or does the next guy just lease the stadium for a few years knowing he's going to leave? Dan's got a sports betting license in Maryland. Who gets that? You know, so it's just because you buy the team, that doesn't mean necessarily you get all the other stuff. And Dan might be trying to hold on to that money. I don't know. Maybe the next guy says, well, it's not worth it without that money. Santiago, thank you for hitting the thanks jar. Will they draft another quarterback? I don't think so this year. Everybody's playing short-term games now too. With this coaching staff and such. You're not developing anybody else's dream guy, so they're going more, now theory. And quarterbacks are always future theory. Unless somebody just falls to them they really love, but I doubt it. When there, Joel said, it doesn't matter what Dan wants or doesn't. Pretty much with that. Dan's in England now, so going pip pip cheerio and all those good things that they say. So not worried about him. The stadium isn't worth anything. It will cost more to tear it down than it's worth, says Michael. Well, it's whenever its day is done, it's getting blown up, and I guess it's probably is cost more than it's worth because it'd just be a bunch of broken bricks. I don't know how much copper wiring or something you can pull out of there. So I wouldn't expect anybody to shed a tear. I haven't heard a date yet on the RFK well, it's not going to be detonated. It's just going to be finished off. They couldn't blow up RFK because it was built in 1960 and asbestos and all those things that we don't do anymore. If you blow it up, it becomes a toxic cloud over the city and kills us all in 5 years. So they're not doing that. They are recycling a lot of stuff out of RFK too. If you follow Farewell RFK on Twitter, the city runs it. They have some interesting stuff now and then about it. Let's see. How's my health? Asked Joe. Good. Good. Thank you for asking. I mean, a year ago, last January, it was not as good, but my back seems to be better, which I didn't know it was bad to begin with when I had the scare. And lost some weight, been healthy, and moved to a new home, and it's kept me so busy I'm tired. But other than that, things are going well. Thanks. Steve, do you think anyone would want to buy a seat from FedEx when they demolish it? Well, maybe a rail. If you get that joke. No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure they'll try and sell a few, but I don't think so. We're going to find out this season how bad Scott Turner was, says Alex. Well, tell me who the next OC is, too. Tell me who the next quarterback is, for sure. But Scott outwitted himself, and, this wasn't an undeserved firing. If 24 years of Dan Snider didn't kill us, no toxic cloud scares me, says Michael. Well, yeah, I don't know, Michael. I don't want to mess with toxic clouds. I mean, that's unfortunately what killed so many people from the Twin Towers 9/11. So many people died of cancer from all the stuff in the air. I actually met a funeral home director around there who told me about it, how so many people died from inhaling all that. So I don't want to get into that. Trent, do you think the new practice facility will be built at the FedEx site if the new stadium is built on the RFK site? No, I think they'll have to try and do it inside the DC border, hoping that they keep more players also and staff living in DC, which means taxes. Word of the day, taxes. It's the word of every day around here. Why was FedEx such a dump, Alexander asked. Okay, Jack and Cook loved Giant Stadium, the old one. So he built a replica. The mistake there was he was building based on the past and not the future. And the next stadium's got to be something really futuristic. So it aged really quickly. And Snider put a lot of money into it. You can't blame him on this. But Cook had it built in an American record 22 months at the time. And I don't know if they cut corners so much, but, the craftsmanship wasn't there because they were hurrying the heck up. They used to call the stadium the Big Jack. That was what the workers all called it, the Big Jack. And Snyder's done everything to keep that name away because he knows he can't compete with it. Do I think there's any truth to Sean Payton be approached by potential bidders to be the next coach? Asked Hank. Yeah, I don't think Sean Payton would be lying about that. I'm sure that did not surprise me in the least that some of the bidders said, hey, would you be our coach if we got the team? Doesn't surprise me. But, Sean wanted to come back this year, and I think he just said, hey, I know I've got this one. I don't know who's going to win in Washington. So he took that. Now, if somebody had already had it, might have gotten here. He's been an NFC East guy. Okay, Joel says $100 in chips on the next OC. Who you got? Ken Zampese, all in. Am I right? I don't know. Haven't been very good at betting lately, but I'm going to just say Zampese. Riverboat Ron gotta go. Well, Cher, wait a year. We'll talk about it. Alex, Cook was also jealous of the Ravens. Not so much jealous as worried that they were going to take market share away, which they have. It's not so many Redskins fans are gone now. They're not all dead. A lot of them became Ravens fans because they lived in Maryland. They could get tickets to that stadium, when that team first came. And so, the Marylanders, they figured they'd be Ravens fans instead. And Ravens have rewarded them by being a good organization all these years. Very well run. So there's a lot of Ravens fans. I lived in Southern Maryland. There's a lot of Ravens fans down here too. And, they've come all the way down to basically Montgomery and PG counties, which the old Colts and all never did. So, yeah, I mean, he was worried, and he had a right to be worried because the Ravens have done exactly what he feared. Do I think Andy Reid will retire? Paul said. Andy Reid says he's not. So, Andy, are you here? No, Andy left. Sorry. I promised not to do Andy for a while. I did him like 3 times in a week. That's enough, Andy. I do those, by the way, and we just let it fly. I have no idea what's going to come out of my mouth or Andy's. Alex, the Ravens have way more success than Washington. Well, in the last 20 years, yeah. But they don't have 3 Super Bowl trophies. They don't have, plus a couple more world championships. That's 5 overall, if you're counting. But they've done a great job there. So, I have no problems with the Ravens. Not a fan. Don't hate them either. I've covered some of them. People there treat the press a lot better. Their training facility is much better than the Redskins. But to me, you got grass, you got a field, you got a locker room, you got a building. I don't worry about all these. But these new NFL training facilities are pretty sweet. But that's not what win games. So I wouldn't worry. I don't worry about that. What's the one trait that made Snider a terrible owner? Said Alexander. Sticking his nose in where it didn't belong in the draft room. That was probably his worst mistake. And free agency. So I'll say personnel. Getting involved in personnel was his worst mistake. And then he was just a mean person at times, and that poisoned things too. But I think you guys would have tolerated Snider a lot more if he won regularly. I mean, listen, Jack Kent Cook was not the nicest person you ever met. He was a tough one. He was much worse than Snider as far as, pushing people around and not in the same way Snider does it. But, the power that he had wielding it made him a much more formidable person than Dan ever, But Jack wasn't without a heart. And neither is Dan either. Dan does a lot of nice things for people who were in need medically. I could tell you a lot of stories about how Dan Snyder's helped out people there. Not everybody's all evil. And I don't worry about it. So, let's see. Who's my favorite Washington player of all time, Sheldon asks. I get asked this all the time, Sheldon. Mark Mosley. That was my favorite growing up. Why? I don't know. I could kick field goals, Gronk. Gronk should have asked me. I could kick a 20-yarder still. So I guess Mosley overall. But I love the guys in the 70s. That was really cool to get to know them all later in life. In recent years, I don't know. It'd be hard to say. There's so many. What were some of Snyder's bad personnel decisions? Well, personal or personnel, Alexander? Which one? Alex, remember when Dan wanted to put his dad's name on the Lombardi? Really? I don't remember that. Because they didn't win one for him to do it. So I don't remember that. Gerald, I remember. Let's see. Who treated their players better, Jack or Dan? Jack, I guess. I mean, Dan had some favorite players, but other than that, it wasn't so much in the locker room. And Jack never really was either. Jack stayed away a good distance from them. Although Jack came to practice a lot. Dan hadn't come to practice much in recent years at all. But Jack used to come to practice. There was a time when when you're on the practice field, Cook would sit in a chair, but that's a dangerous thing because players, sometimes the ball gets loose and players come looking for it. And there was a PR director who literally threw himself in front of Cook so the cook didn't get run over by a player. Took the hit, on there. Great guy named Charlie. Not Charlie Castle, somebody else. That was pretty wild. Hank, Eric Bieniemy, how shocked would you be if he came here? I guess a 0.5, maybe quick buzz. You can tell I'm tired. I'm going to be doing this. I would be surprised. I'll just put it that way. I don't think anything's out of the there. Should Mark Rippon be in the Hall of Fame, Mr. Cool? No. He had a good season in Super Bowl. He's a decent player overall, but not a Hall of Famer. To me, Hall of Famers are, at the time they played, were they the best player at their position in the game? That's who has to be a Hall of Famer. Not somebody who's really good. It's somebody who's great that everybody looks at and goes, whew, there's the guy. That's who should be in the Hall of Fame. Personnel. Okay, Alexander wants to know personnel decisions. Well, all right, here's a recent one. Hey, I know you guys want to draft, but there's this guy I went to high school with my son, and we're going to take him. So, Dwayne Haskins. What kind of crazy thing was that? He came off the boat, overrode everybody, and took him. Oh, it was crazy. He took Ramsey when the staff did not want Ramsey. I mean, quarterbacks were his real thing. He promoted Jeff George over everybody's objections and got rid of Brad Johnson. I mean, that's stupid. His quarterbacks are really a bad thing for him. And that's where he stuck his nose in because he didn't pretty much know the other positions. Okay, Michael says RG3. I'm not even going to ask the rest of that what that means. Robert kind of scares me at times, the things he says. And maybe he's a good analyst. I don't know. I thought the announcing on the Super Bowl was decent. I mean, it didn't get in the way of the game. That's all I ask. Paul, do I like the first ballot Hall of Famers? Do you think they should wait? Do I like first ballot ones? Yeah, if you're that great, you deserve it. Like Andy Reid, go for it, man. Vote him in first time. Timothy says Brian Mitchell should be in the Hall of Fame. I agree. I think he might get there still. Brian was a very competitive guy, so he didn't always make enough friends, and that's sometimes what it takes. All right, David wants to know, what's the latest on the sale of the team? Okay, so supposedly Josh Harris visited Redskin Park, or whatever we call it now, Commanders Park, or whatever we call it. So he's seen it. Another person did too, that mystery bidder I always talk about. And so we know we're getting closer, and I think something in the next 2 weeks we might hear. Was Vinny Stroud just a yes man? Alexander asked. Yes. Marcus, Dwayne Haskins had a solid season late in his rookie year. But all right, we're going to talk about a few games. Yeah. But no, he didn't put enough into the game, and they got frustrated by it. So, I mean, rest in peace, Dwayne. I don't like to speak poorly of people who have passed. So I'll leave it at that. But I think Dwayne had a good arm, had some talent. Let's see. I call it Joe Gibbs Park. Well, the Joe Gibbs Drive is what it's on now. They changed it from Redskin Park Drive to Joe Gibbs Park Drive, I think it's called. So you're sending your letters there, Alex. Frank, who is the best cornerback to pair up with Darryl Green besides Bailey? Okay, I was going to say Bailey. Vernon Dean, Mayhew, Carter, Barry Wilburn, Dishman. Wow, you got a good memory. That's interesting. I want to say Wilburn, but maybe Dishman is the right answer. Good question. Will the new owner change the name of the team? Paul said, nah, at least not in short term, and I don't think so. You kind of have to live with this one for a little while. Sucks, but whatever. Ooh, 8:30 already. Good. Hey, if you haven't hit the thanks button yet for this whole season of content, well, you're just being cheap. So throw some money in. Let's see. I hope they pay her $70 million a year. Well, I would certainly mess with the cap, right? I'll give it that. Maybe he deserves it, but Marcus, thanks for the chat. I posted my Facebook sports group view, but anyway, hopes they get Eric Bieniemy or Pep Hamilton as OC. I don't see either one. DC Hustler, do you think any big names will come just to get fired the same season with new owner deals? And they have every right to ask for that. Alex doesn't think Bieniemy will take Washington over Baltimore. I don't either. And I think Baltimore will offer him a little more. on there. That's interesting though. Sheldon, Commanders or Wizards? Who wins the championship first? Whoa. It's like asking me which one of my children do I love more. Depends on the day. But then I always tell them, depends on who's ticking me off more. Wow, that's really hard to say. But I'll say Commanders. Did I eat any wings yesterday, Paul asked. Yes, I had 2. I made about 20, and my sons-in-law ate the rest. Well, actually, I think my daughter had one too. They weren't bad. I don't make the greatest of wings because I don't have the patience for it. But I did have 2. That's 2 more than I've had in a long time. Let's see. Autismo 13. I guess I got that right. Will we make the NFC Championship if the 2020 defense was paired with the 2016 offense? Okay, who is the quarterback for 2016 offense? I have trouble remembering years anymore. But the 2020 defense was good, so maybe. Timothy laughs at me. Okay, silently I weep. Gotta say. So this is not beer; it's iced tea. Cousins. Oh, okay. So Cousins was the quarterback that year. Yeah. Okay. Probably. Yeah, I would think so. Cousins sure has made a lot of money in Minnesota, but now they got to decide if they want to keep him. Ah, the dude definitely collected some cash. All right. Wow, caught up with questions. Let's see. Oh, we have a lot of people tonight too. Great. So a lot of you have just come in. Last show of the season. I'll be back for free agency when that starts that week. Draft, do some camps. So I'll do some hit and miss shows on hopefully Mondays, 8 to 9. Throughout the off season, just kind of look for notices. I know a lot of you subscribe to the site. So I'll try and pop in when something's worth it. But, I think we've reached the end of, just talking about stuff and maybe take a break too. It always seems like Mondays are a busy day and I'm tired on here. I had to go tour guide today, write stuff, and getting ready to sell my home. So my old home. So been a busy day. When's the pizza show coming? Paul asked. We're going to film it Wednesday. So by Friday, I'll have it. Going to be some good looking pizza in this thing. Looking forward to that. I'm going to do pizza shows now and then with a couple friends of mine and just have some fun with it. Be short shows here on YouTube. So where you get the whole story. No, you're not going to get my whole pizza. I don't know. I'm looking forward to this. We'll see how it goes. We don't have a cameraman or anything. So it gets a little clunky, just like my shows are a little clunky. But this ain't NBC and you're not paying a cable bill to watch it. So, we just kind of do what we do. And I am who I am. Do I think we can win with Hal, Jeremy? Absolutely. I like Hal a lot. I think if you support him right and they don't screw it up, I think it'll be fun. But I could say that almost about any quarterback in the league. Steve, thank you so much, Steve. I appreciate it, your support this season. And so be like Steve out there. See, throw a few bucks so I can eat in the off season. Who I think the best OC and DC in my time watching the team? Well, Pettibone was the best defensive coordinator. When didn't do well this 1 year as the head coach because he was set up to fail there. But Pettibone was really good. And OC, God, have they had a good OC? Well, McVay was OC 1 year, wasn't he? I don't know. That's a hard one. I have to think about that. But Pettibone, I could say easily right there. Dizzy Spider 45 is back. Okay. Well, Gracie Hunt inherited the Kansas City Chiefs from Mr. Lamar. I don't know. I'm not that intimate with them. She'd be a great owner. She's the best looking owner ever. What was the lady who owned the Rams? Georgia Frontier, is that her name? She was one of the first women in the league. We'll be in the playoffs next season, Mr. Cole asks. Yes, that will be in the playoffs next season and lose first round. Paul, what's your favorite pizza? And do you like pineapple pizza? I like pineapple on pizza about twice a year. Just get a hankering for it and I have it with ham. When I was in England, I had some. The ham slices on pizza there are like this long, real thin, but they're like this long. It was really weird. Pizza in England's very weird. They have salad in the middle in some places. Not everywhere does it, but Some of them have to put your salad in the middle of the whole pizza and you eat it from there. I don't know, really weird. I was in Italy, had pizza. I was so disappointed. It was hard. I ate it in Rome, and pizza in Italy varies as to where you are, and Napoli's probably the better one, but in Rome, I don't know. I lost weight walking around Italy. It was weird. I like our Italian food better. The OC in '91 was the winner. Okay, so that's still Gibbs. So yeah, okay. Gibbs was calling the plays. Okay. So, all right. Trick question, Alex. Uh, Mr. Cool lost weight in England. Yeah, I don't think English food's that bad. Although I am not eating baked beans cold for breakfast. Ugh. They do that all over Europe. Cold baked beans. I don't mind cold baked beans, but not for breakfast in the morning. And I was in Iceland a few years ago, and at breakfast, they had breakfast at the hotel. They had caviar in a tube, and I just thought, can't be good. Come on, man. Caviar free in a tube in the morning. And I just, no, I wasn't going to try it. Anytime you travel abroad, you do have to kind of watch it so you don't get sick. And here's the pro tip. Don't put ice in drinks because they may have clean water they're serving you from a bottle, but the ice cubes are made with local water, and that's where the stuff is in there. And that's where you get sick. So no ice. And a lot of times they don't serve ice in Europe anyway, because it's not that hot there. And they have cool temperatures. The beer's not bad. It's not hot. It's not icy cold, but it's cool. So like if you left your beer sitting there on for 10 minutes, came back to drink it, that's kind of what it's like in England. Will the new OC become the head coach? Well, no, I doubt it, Paul. They just sweep clean when that goes on. No, well, I did see 80 for Brady recently. It's not a bad date night movie, if you want to just go out and see a movie. I'm not saying it's winning an Oscar, but it was amusing. If you're older, especially. If you're 25, no. Well, no. Let me see. Man, keeping up with you guys. A bunch of people left. I guess they got bored. That's how it goes. Hit the like button too while you're doing this. I don't know. YouTube likes it when you get likes. I don't know why. YouTube algorithm favors those who get a lot of interactions and such. And we all have to bow to the algorithm or heavy overlord on these things. I'll still be writing for Odyssey.com, which is 106.7, still the longest running sports writer in Washington, 45 years. I don't write as much as I used to because I don't have clients like I used to because everybody's cut back. But I still write for them. So, and Command Post Magazine, which you probably never find, but it's out there. Comes out about 10 times a year, something like that. All right, let's see. Al Gore invented algorithms, Michael says. Okay. I thought it was a guy named, because it's Al. I get you. Okay, yeah, Al and Gore, Algo. Ooh, aren't you tricky? And Michael, he's sharp on there. All right, so another appeal since we've in a few minutes. Hit the thanks button. Whole season of content. Throw a few bucks there. Won't kill you. That way I have something to go into the cold winter of discontent off season. I like the season of 6 months, and then I like to take a break. I'm not really going to watch USFL football or XFL or whatever because it's not good. It just isn't as good, especially quarterback. If quarterbacks were better, it would be a much better league. But they don't have enough good quarterbacks in the NFL. So I don't really see myself. I wish the DC Defenders and those guys good luck, but not really something. I like to take a break from it. Horse racing is going to be fun this spring. Get the Triple Crown. I do all that. But I like to watch the other seasons, basketball, March Madness, all these other things. Everybody gets a chance to be the shining star. And so I like to watch it, although there's part of me that wants to say, hey, after the Super Bowl, take 2 weeks off and then we'll hit it again. But I guess it's kind of like what soccer does, it seems. Like they're always playing something. Watching any baseball? Well, Alex, I love the Nats. Boy, they were so bad last season, and with people you didn't even know who they were, it made it really hard to watch any of that. But that's my favorite sport. We all have a favorite sport away from the one we cover. That way you can still have fun with it.
Bob Baker wants to know, am I making any appearances on the Junks? Well, I was on this past Friday. No, I was on Monday last week. I when called to serve, I would do, but they call me now and then. I'm sure won't be too long before they ask me to come on again with the sale. But I take Greg Roman as the OC. Connor asked. Yeah, I think I would. I think he'd be a good fit overall. I'd be willing to go there. Do I think something happens to Ron this offseason? I was in terms of job security. Quick fix asked. Quick FN asked. No, I think he'll be here. You never know. Okay, Michael. I like Dwayne Johnson, but one terrible football season is enough. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. I like to watch a show on Fridays. That's been fun with the wrestling and all. Been interesting to see. DC Hustler. I don't see Ron and staff making it past March. New owners have staff in place. Just watch. Well, good for them if they do, but how good is that staff going to be either? I don't know. Maybe it's not as worse. I think you need Ron for stability for another year. I just don't see anything changing this year. And I'm not sure the team is sold by March. There's a lot that goes into this when you're moving, billions of dollars. So I'm not sure it'll happen in March. It'll happen in the off season. It doesn't really matter at that point. Oh, sorry. I didn't get much sleep last night. Let's see. Okay, I caught up to everybody. Ooh, okay. I would tell you that I do have, if you want to spend some off-season reading why 100 Things Commanders fans should know and do before they die, it's still out there. Not many of you bought it because you hate the name. And you bought the Redskins version instead. I sold more Redskin version than Commanders in recent months. But if you want to get a copy of the book, you can go to Amazon or you can go to Monumental Thoughts. If you want to come see Washington in the off season, want to go on tour with me, I am a licensed tour guide for 13 years. I can take you in anywhere and do anything. We can go eat pizza after. Just go to Monumental Thoughts and you can see how to reach out to me. I had people, somebody on the show about a week ago call me and want to do tours. So it happens now and then. Let's see. Who's going to want this job right now? Oh, there's always somebody who wants this job right now, especially if you get a real owner in here and all. And this is a big market. It's got a history to it. There's a lot of guys who would take it. Any good restaurants or places to go on Valentine's Day? Asked Paul. Woo, here we go. I was wondering. Let me see this. OpenTable.com. Now, pay me to tell you this, but OpenTable.com is where you get reservations. And sometimes you just look for an area and they'll suggest restaurants. That's the way to go at this point, being this close. Because I could tell you someplace, but may not be able to get in. So go to OpenTable.com and just Google your area and pick something out of there. At least you'll have a reservation too. It's all free. I use it now and then. Should we go quarterback first round? No, I'm not even going to bother with the names. No. Elon, I guess, re-sign Heineke. Well, it'd be nice, but I don't know. Heineke wants to look around too. And I noticed that Chiefs need a new good backup quarterback. So would Taylor go there? Would he go to the Raiders where Scott Turner's going? He's got options too. Am I going to do more videos with historical content now that football is slowing down? Asked Steve. Yeah, tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., my videos post. I did a video at Mount Vernon. I was there last week. And there's a marker there. It's a Purple Heart marker, which if you're injured in the military, you get a Purple Heart medal. That was created by George Washington during the Revolutionary War. So that's why I did a video on it for tomorrow morning. They tend to be a little shorter. And I did a bunch around town recently just to have in the bag. So I'm going to be doing Alexandria tours, Old Town Alexandria, lots of cool stuff. Like the ship captain that had 29 kids. We can talk about that. Captain's Row. But there's a lot of cool stuff. The beginning of the Civil War, the Revolutionary War. There's a lot of stuff in Alexandria. So I'm going to have some video up on that too. I'm going to have an audio tour up soon. All right, Dennis Tuttle, who's always a pain in my butt, says, I made a video about things to eat during Super Bowl. Why didn't I include chili? I should, because that's the one great thing my wife really makes. It's not an egregious omission of a sign of my advanced aging ensuing senility. Um, but somebody who stiffed me on a dozen wings, shouldn't be throwing stones. Bob said, I have lunch at the restaurant at Mount Vernon. I have. It's like colonial fare, just like Gatsby's Tavern in Alexandria is Revolutionary War atmosphere and food. Uh, I can't say that the food's the greatest to my taste, but they're not bad food. It's not exactly the same food we eat today. Hakeem, the dream. Alex Smith led the franchise to respectability, but of course he got his leg broken. Yeah, I mean, disgraceful. Well, I mean, they didn't break it on purpose. So, and I know people talk about the field, but that's not what happened either. Just bad luck. Sizzle, how likely is it the new owner cleans house? And talks about the Sean Payton interview. I think business side gets a real big makeover, but coaching side probably takes a year. Michael, there used to be some great places to eat in Williamsburg. Yeah, it still is, but not quite like there used to be. There's a one on the green that's a pretty good, right there in the central part of the green area. I mean, it's been a few years since I've eaten there, but I guess if it's still there. If you have a good pizza place, you got a good start, even in colonial times. Did George Washington eat pizza? I don't know. George Washington didn't have much for teeth, so he liked soft foods and soups and all. So I know a lot about George Washington. Do a lot of Mount Vernon tours, all that. All right, 10 minutes to go before I get to go in the off season. So if you're watching this, coming in late, this show does repeat itself in perpetuity. So if you want to watch it on YouTube and missed anything, you can. We pretty much talk about the same stuff the whole show. If you want to hit the thanks button for supporting the program over all this time, appreciate it. Probably Thursday, Friday, I've got a pizza show coming out. I'm going to do those occasionally. Still have videos every day, 6 a.m. I auto time them, so I don't do them at 6 a.m. But doing that, and of course in the evenings we do something. So a little more non-commanders in the off season. I don't like to do stupid videos of 5 things the commanders should do or 3 people that command. That's when you're out of ideas. That's when you see that stuff. Let's see. Cherries is what you're thinking about, Michael. Let's see, Bob Baker. Do I ever talk to Dude? Yeah, Dude. I do talk to Dude now and then. He was very successful out in Los Angeles. That's my old partner. He used to call everybody Dude, but he's done very well. I'm very proud of him. Best Super Bowl dessert. Well, the only thing we got were cupcakes because I told my one daughter, "You're in charge of dessert. Bring stuff." She brings up some cupcakes, please. How unoriginal, and then my granddaughter was upset because the icing was messed up on one. So I had that one. So mine was the one with the messed up icing. You're talking about Deuce now. Okay, we're talking about somebody else, Bob. I just talked to Deuce. He's doing well. Like all of us who are getting older, have our health setbacks, but he's doing fine. Let's see. Hakeem, Ron Rivera is mediocre as at best coach. I would give him a little more than that, but he's not Andy Reid. Do they still do tours of Union Station? Paul asked. Not officially. I mean, I have a tour that starts at Union Station sometimes, and I talk about it. It used to be the world's biggest building and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of become a little desolate because of the pandemic, but it's coming back because Elon Musk is building a train that goes from Washington to New York in 29 minutes. And that's going to really make Union Station part of the big hub. I mean, they're really trying to bring some new stuff to Union Station on the trains for the East Coast. So better days will come back again for it. Alex, Rivera must know we're eliminated by now. I'm not sure if they've told him yet or not. Shh. Let the man have his dream. Yeah, I think he just messed up that day. And Bob wants to know about Woody. I heard from Woodman recently, who wrote for the Times-Dispatch. He was a legend there. And he's doing fine, too. Josh B. coming in late. After Super Bowl victory, what are our chances of landing the enemy? Josh, slim and none. Slim left town. I don't know. I don't see the enemy coming here. But we'll know I think by the end of the week, we'll know who the OC is, whomever it will be. Santiago, oh, you still with me? Good. Oh, wow, that'd be great to have a train that fast. Yeah, 29 minutes from DC to Manhattan. Considering it's about 250 miles, that means that train's doing 500 miles an hour. And you'll be able to put your car on that train if you want. I don't know what it'll cost. That's another thing. But right now, you can get round trip tickets from DC to Manhattan for about 99 bucks. I don't think that's going to happen under that. But I'm sure they'll keep the regular trains too. So you still could travel that way. I mean, I love traveling by train to New York. It's so much easier than driving and even easier than flying. And 3 hours and you just show up at the train station. It's easy to get on and off, not unlike an airport. Do I think Taylor will stay and compete for starter, Paul asked. I think he could stay. I don't think he'll compete for starter, but this guy tends to get in the games, doesn't he? So just hang loose and wait your turn. Yeah, Bob, we did have a lot of great people to work with there, and there's still some great people there. A lot of good writers. You don't cover the Redskins and be an idiot. Well, the Commanders and be an idiot. Yeah, these are good writers. I know people like to bang on the reporters out there, but trust me, these are the best reporters in town. You don't just get to walk into the park there with your first day and say, "Hey, what's going on?" You got to earn your right to do this, and you got to work hard to stay there. And if you don't want to be embarrassed, you got to really work hard because there's some good reporters there that'll make you look dumb, beating you all the time. Taylor's going to find ways to stay in Washington, says Alex. I kind of agree with that, but I would not be shocked if he moves on. Let's see, and that may be dependent upon who they pick as an offensive coordinator. Michael knows some idiots who cover other teams. Well, okay, but I'm about peace and love, Michael, at this old age of mine. So I'll let those guys have their wars. Dennis misses the bell. It's right here. I do have, so I missed a couple. I missed a couple because my grandson ran off with it. I had to find it. Hank said, do I own any pets? Unfortunately, not at the moment. I don't have a dog. My beloved dog, Rudy, passed away, and I haven't had the heart to replace him because I can't replace him. He was a wonderful golden retriever. If you've got kids, golden retrievers are a great dog. They love you. They want to play all day long. They will chase the ball all day long, but bring it back. And really obedient pets, too. So I miss Rudy a lot. I'd like to get a dog eventually. I just don't want to do all the hard work. Cats scare me because they're ready to pounce on you at any given time. People keep snakes as pets. Are you kidding me? Or guinea pigs or anything. I like dogs, or a horse, but they're too. I don't have the room for a horse. Used to as a kid. Bob's got to run. All right, thanks, Bob. As everybody else is going to be running in a couple minutes because Rick's tired. But I appreciate all the questions everybody asked. It's kind of been a unique thing this whole fall doing this show where I just talk to you guys directly and whatever. It's been a lot of fun. Color guppies. Yeah, I understand how you feel about the dog. So it gives me a chance to see what you guys are thinking about as far as coverage. So sometimes I do some stories just because I know that's what you really want. You basically want to know who's the OC, when's the team going to be sold, what's the new owner going to be like, and anything else. Are we going to draft a quarterback? That's pretty much the recurring three stories that I talk about all the time. I never talk about guards or anybody because you guys don't care on there. What made me want to do YouTube content? Alex said, after getting laid off by 6 groups in 7 years in the pandemic, I was kind of running out of business. So I made this, I took a gamble to create this Rick Snider's Washington, and it's actually done very well. Across social media, the videos have been seen by 11 million people in the last 2 years. Surprises me. And people come up to me all, regularly around town. And I'm thinking, I've been here 45 years covering sports, 62 as a person. But now everybody finds me through this medium. So it's been interesting. It's not as hard. You're just kind of talking for an hour can be hard, but at times. But I thought it would be fun, and it's exceeded my expectations on there. So I do like that. And I think, as Color Guppy said, it's a bonus. You get a chance to talk to somebody who's been inside this building off and on for 40 years, in the out at Ashburn. So, and years we were over across the road, whatever that was, Chantilly or something. I forget what it was called. I recently went by the old Redskin Park. I had some time. Hadn't been there since we left in '93, and it's a church now. Who would have guessed? The goalposts are still up. It's still soccer fields for youth. It's what the old Redskin Park looked like. But now it's a church. It's kind of reconfigured the building. It looks like the old building some, but it's a lot different too. That was kind of wild to see. And there, if you Google it, you can go drive. It's not far away from the existing park and all there. That was the first NFL building of its type like that for a team headquarters on there. All right, so we're going to wrap it up. And I'm usually loose, but I don't think you guys have anything particularly you want to ask me. So if we're talking about dogs, then I know we're down to the end on there. So thank you all for the whole season on this. Thank you, Steve, for certainly coming. Pizza show will be out later. It's my one vice still. I get to eat pizza once in a while. And thank you all. Like I said, thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. Mike P, that's my cuz. So he listens to me on this more than he does at the parties. Alex, thanks you for coming. I appreciate all of you coming. A lot of you were regulars, and hey, I'm sure you got something else to do on Monday nights. You're going to find out something new to do on Monday nights for a while on there. Thank you, Eric, for coming. Appreciate it. And hopefully you'll come back when we start doing shows again. A lot of people watch. A lot of people watch on replay. Kind of weird on there. So you'll be able to see this on replay. Anybody want to hit the thanks button before we leave? I'll say your name. You can get your own bell on there. And that's about it. So thank you, Paul. Thank Gary for coming. Everybody. Thanks, Josh. Sound like a romper room lady again, talking to everybody. Bye on there. And like I say, I'm gonna go watch. I'm watching The Godfather of Harlem, which is awesome series. So maybe I'll go watch the show tonight. A little violent, but whatever. Thanks to Timothy and Hank and all you guys. So hopefully you learned something about the Commanders and you learned some inside stuff doing this, and then whatever else around Washington. If you want to go on tour, just hit Monumental Thoughts, and we can talk about it. Last week somebody booked a couple tours, so it happens. And we have fun. Just go around town. It's all good storytelling. Most of it's true. All right, I'm out of here. So thank you all. I will see you again soon.